Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gravely Amusing. We are finally here. The new empire has arrived. This is the final part of our Godzilla and King Kong history. So, we're going to cover Godzilla versus Kong and break it down for you, review it, and give you a review of Godzilla x Kong, the new empire. And I can't do it alone. I got Steve and Jerae here. They're back. They're going to talk to me about these movies, what they think's working, what they think's not working. Boys, say hello.
What's up?
Hello there.
General Kenobi. So let's get right into it. The plan from the very beginning of this whole monsterverse, the whole point was they wanted to bring in King Kong and Godzilla together in the same universe. And we know they did it together in the 60s. And it was ironically both third movies in their storyline or whatever. King Kong rebooted again with Skull Island. Godzilla is established as a king of the monsters. We know Kong is kind of out there. So this is what happens in Godzilla versus Kong. So this is 5 years after King of Monsters. So it's 2024. So it's modern day this year, 2024. So 5 years after the dragon-like extraterrestrial, keyword extraterrestrial. If someone's taking notes, write down Ghidorah's extraterrestrial because I want to bring that up later. So King Ghidorah, who was the giant's three-headed hydra with electric tip wings and the king of monsters, awakened the monstrous titans around the world. So now they're officially, as a king of the monsters, referred to as titans. Everybody's a titan. So Godzilla is Titanus Gojira, and King Kong is Titanus Kongira, whatever, whatever it might be. So, yes. So all the titans around the world bow down to Godzilla as a tippy top. So Kong is the only Titan left that basically hasn't bowed to Godzilla. So he's the other alpha on the world right here. And Kong is being monitored by Monarch now within a giant dome on Skull Island. But Skull Island has been overtaken by the storms. So the storm is completely taken over the island, and Kong is on this other base outside of Skull Island. So Kong is visited by Gia, or maybe it's Gaia. Gia, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but she is the last Iwi native, and she's the young adopted daughter of the Kong expert Eileen Andrews. So Gia is the last of the Iwi people that were on Skull Island, of that whole race of people that we met in Kong Skull Island. And she's the last one. Everybody else is dead because of the storms on Skull Island. So Gia is deaf like me. And interesting is she can communicate with Kong via sign language. How Kong knows sign language, how he understands what the words mean, no freaking clue. How he understands English, no clue.
Congo rules.
Congo.
Me Amy.
Are you talking about the 90s movie Kong?
Kong,
I love that.
yeah, I love, yeah.
Man, dude, I don't remember anything of that movie other than the movie poster. Yeah, dang. Okay.
With the were they silverback or albino? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were silverback or something, but yeah, they were fucking creepy. Sorry for
I'm
my
gonna have
language.
to rewatch that movie.
We'll have to watch that. Do like a commentary or something. We'll have to. So yeah. So Kong watched the 90s movie Congo, and then he learned sign languages from the grills and stuff. And maybe George the Jungle. So now Apex Cybernetics. Now, if we go back to Monarch, Apex was the company that was kind of created around 2017, around that time. So 3, 4, 7 years prior to this, and they have a Titan conspiracy podcast host that works there named Bernie Hayes, and he extracts data suggesting sinister activities at Apex's Pensacola, Florida facility. So he works for them, and he's kind of like working from the inside to do a podcast, which is pretty much the dream, everybody. But Godzilla attacks that facility, and Bernie stumbles on a massive device during the rampage. So as Godzilla attacks, he sees this kind of like silver looking circular object, almost looks like an eye. We're not sure what it is. And we
It's an
also
arc reactor.
it does look exactly like a freaking arc reactor.
Tony Stark. And then
Tony Stark built it in a cave with scraps.
box full of scraps.
And
But it's played by Brian Tyree Hill, right? Or Brian Tyree Henry.
plays Bernie.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was also in Eternals, Marvel connection again.
They take all these freaking Marvel people. But yes. So Madison Russell, Millie Bobby Brown, she's back in this movie because it seems like these movies just take some characters, like Godzilla had Serizawa and the British scientists, and then they went into King of Monsters, and then they introduce Kyle, whatever his
Chandler,
character,
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie, and then they got rid of the other characters, and then they moved them into Godzilla versus Kong, where they introduce crap.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah, Rebecca Hall's character, or yeah. Yes,
and Gia or Gaia.
And Gaia, Gia Gaia, whatever. So Madison Russell listens to Bernie's podcast, and she listens to her friend Firefist from Deadpool 2 to investigate Godzilla's attacks. And his name's Josh or something.
Marvel connection again.
It's Firefist. It's all connected, people. Apex CEO Walter Simmons recruits Monarch scientist and Hollow Earth theorist Nathan Lind to guide a search for a power source into the Hollow Earth, the Titan's homeworld. Now, they never bring back that dude at the end of King of Monsters. The British guy, the dude that buys Ghidorah's head,
the terrorist.
They never bring him back.
Yeah.
So they kind of like make him like lead into this movie, but they don't bring him back. So cliffhanger, inconsistency. So Lynn is hesitant as his brother died in an expedition to the Hollow Earth due to strong reverse gravitational effects. Was his brother part of... No, I doubt it. That his brother was part of Shaw's team. I don't think so. But anyway, he agrees when Walter reveals Apex has developed these heaves, and they're specialized craft to withstand the gravity field. So, do you guys think that it's these heaves that stop them from being able to time jump?
You mean,
or is it just the different part of the Hollow Earth?
It could be that they keep them like corrected on course
until they get the Hollow Earth, or because they end up coming out of the ships in Hollow Earth.
Yeah, I mean,
we
they
just
get out of
the
it.
time jump, like the travel is de-aging them, or just being down there?
So I think it's a bit what Fish said in the last podcast, like that if they go off course in the Hollow Earth thing, that they can go into that middle place, the Axis Mundi or whatever, and that's where they'll get stuck in time. But maybe these heaves just they go through the path correctly, and
they have like a guidance systems, and they can
kind of like the telephone booth in Bill and Ted. With like that, it was able to keep them in line.
Doctor Who, the TARDIS.
It's all connected. Everything's connected. Bill and Ted, Marvel, it's all connected. But yes, so he agrees to go into the Hollow Earth. So Lind convinces Andrews to let Kong guide them via an outpost in Antarctica. So Lind, played by Skarsgård, the Crow's brother, he leads them to Antarctica, where there is a portal to get into Hollow Earth. Lynn Andrews and Apex team, led by Walter's daughter, Maya, board a barge escorted by the U.S. Navy. So the CEO's daughter goes with them. That's who this Maya is. Escorted by the U.S. Navy, carrying a sedated and restrained Kong into the Hollow Earth. So this kind of still sticks with that theory that they have to have a Titan to enter into the Hollow Earth, right? But then later they kind of contradict it, where the Heaves go out by themselves.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know.
so like, do they need a Titan to go to the Hollow Earth, whether they have a Heave or not, or what?
I think they said because these machines were so expensive and so futuristic that they can now do what they thought was impossible. So maybe they've studied and worked around and figured it out. Because I mean, it looked like I don't want to spoil later, but it looks like they even built like a whole thing that like basically just they're like halfway there. I don't know.
Well, even later in this movie, when Godzilla makes it to Tokyo, he just blows a hole the whole way through down. And when they come up through, they don't go through like a portal or anything. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but in that scene, one, Godzilla, a Titan, created that hole. Two, Kong did go up there first. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Eh,
so. But I
So,
mean, it's like it was just already an open area, and there was probably no portal. It was just literally a hole now, like Godzilla created. So,
yeah.
but the main things to know here is that Apex wants them to go down the Hollow Earth to get a power source for something. What it is, we'll find out in a bit. But you already know if you saw the movie. But they think that Kong. I think the main thing here is the Heaves can go through it. They need Kong because Kong's people are from the Hollow Earth, and Kong will lead them to that power source. That's what they believe. So I missed that in my notes. My apologies. So, yeah. So Bernie joins Masson and Joss in their investigation, and they sneak into the wrecked Apex base. So they actually take this train underground, and it shoots them all the way to Hong Kong, which is pretty badass, actually.
I'm
And
glad you said that because I was just rewatching this yesterday, and I wasn't like fully paying attention. So at one point they're in Hong Kong, and I'm like, how the hell did they get there? I must have missed that part.
so when they were in
So
Florida, when they were in Florida in the base, they get into this train because they're hiding from like some staff or guards or whatever, and then the train they takes them to Hong Kong, and they didn't plan on that. And then you see Kyle's one scene of like, oh, you're in Hong Kong, what the hell? And then he gets his $1 million check. So in this uh facility in Hong Kong, they go into this room, this giant room, like arena room, and they see all these like clones of things, and there's skull walkers from Kong Island, and there's dead bodies like everywhere. And then they find out what the heck is fighting all them, and it is Mecha Godzilla. And it is telepathically controlled by Ren Sarazawa, the son of Ishiro Sarazawa, who is Ken Watabe's son from Godzilla 1 and King of Monsters, the scientist that sacrificed himself to rejuvenate Godzilla. And he's talking to Mechagodzilla via neural networks from the head of Ghidorah. So Ghidorah is like merging brains with Mechagodzilla. Like they use Ghidorah as like the RoboCop head of Mechagodzilla. What is never explained, and boys, help me out here, is why is Ren Sarazawa kind of betraying his father's work and working for Apex? It's like never really explained, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
It's just like they have his son and his dad was a big scientist, but like why did the son betray? I don't even think the son even says words in the movie.
Unless he
I think he was jealous or something. No,
where he blames Godzilla for his dad's death.
Maybe, but I swear that they didn't add
it seemed
any
like he
sort of
didn't
depth.
even like his dad, basically. But
I don't think
Seems
they ever really say anything.
I don't think they do. I think they just like added in like a story that they might have wanted to tell, but they don't do a freaking thing with it.
I was gonna say until this moment, I didn't even know that was his name.
Well, that's what we're here for. Gravely amusing, teaching, laughing, and eating pizza. But yes, it's his son. So it's telepathic control by him. And Walter, the head of Apex, intends to harness the Hollow Earth's energy to overcome Mechagodzilla's power supply. So that's why Kong is in the Hollow Earth to basically get them a power supply to power Mechagodzilla. Because Walter believes that Titans have basically taken over Earth, and they have, and why can't humans fight back? So the whole goal of Apex is to basically build cybernetic or robotic monsters. And this is where Pacific Rim can come in. Like this is it right here. That Apex is developed into some other company. I don't know. I haven't seen Pacific Rim in like 20 years or whatever, how long it's been. I don't even know how long it's been out. But but you can tie that technology group into this to build mechs to fight, the monsters in the future. You can totally do that. So meanwhile, inside that whole Earth, Kong and that team find an ecosystem similar to Skull Island. Uh, and it's pretty cool because like the gravity is all different in it. So Kong can like jump from one plane to the other and it flips the gravity upside down. It's pretty sweet. And he finds his throne room and he finds remains of an ancient war with Godzilla's kind. So this is where we're first revealed of the history of Kong and Godzilla. So we know that the apes fought Godzilla's kind. But does this scene contradict when we get to Godzilla X Kong? Because it seems in Godzilla X Kong, spoiler, before we get to the review fully here, that Godzilla X Kong, Godzilla is the only one of his race, like since the beginning. Am I wrong in that?
I don't think so. I think that's how it's represented.
that's what gets somewhat retconned in the New Empire. But I mean, you could look at it in more of like a broad where they're just saying like giant reptiles or something, like giant mammals versus giant reptiles. If you want to go that route.
But they are saying in this that Godzilla like had more. There was more than one Godzilla, right? Like in these drawings, at least I thought they were.
Well, I mean, where did Godzilla come from? He had to have parents, right?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know if
ancient,
they ever dive into his history that much.
not not good enough for me.
Yeah. Oh,
but
like Kong at least.
but Kong is this Kong is the main dude. I mean, he's the star of the show, and in these two movies, really. Um, but yeah, so in this throne room, he finds the remains of this war and like stuff, but he finds a glowing axe that seems to be made from Godzilla's dorsal fins, like his spikes. So the axe is, I mean, it's like a mixture. There's the best way to put it is it's pretty much like Thor's hammer, in Endgame. I mean, it. I don't know what the source of the handle is, but it's looks like it's binded together, and then it has Stormbreaker in the middle. So
Yeah, I mean, it was made like the handle is a giant bone, which I
oh
guess
yeah, oh yeah,
in spoilers again for New Empire. There's that there's that one that's way bigger that they use as a bridge. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yes, you're right. But he finds this glowing axe that was no doubt Thor's weapon in the past, and he finds the power source down there, and the power source actually like charges the axe. And this power source seems to be somewhat of the power of Godzilla, like from his atomic breath, like some type of the radiation that he feeds off. It's the main source. And Apex Team somehow, I don't understand the tech, didn't make sense to me. They send the energy signature back to Hong Kong from the Hollow Earth using the tablet. Yep, sure, it checks out. It's 2024. It makes sense.
Well, it's that Hilo that it's that technology they have. That's how they get through the. Going back to your earlier question, it's just so advanced.
But I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. but then attracted by Mecha Godzilla's activation because of the power source, Godzilla arrives in Hong Kong, and we get this. I didn't know Hong Kong had so many neon lights, but it's so colorful. And as a man child, it's basically a big kid. I'm seeing all these lights, and there's monsters, and they're fighting, and the lights, and the colors, and the colors, Duke, the colors, and it's so cool looking. And yeah, and Godzilla arrives in Hong Kong, and Godzilla drills a shaft directly through the earth into the throne room with his atomic breath. And Maya and the Apex team is crushed by King Kong, and Kong, Andrews, Jaya, Gaia, whatever, and Lin ascend to Hong Kong. So they go up the portal, and Kong engages Godzilla in a battle. Finally. And
Not
God,
necessarily. Hold on.
well, I mean, it's not the
Remember
final
they
battle.
had they battled earlier. If you don't remember when they were traveling over the ocean.
My
On the
apologies.
boat.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally
Mm-hmm.
totally
missed that whole
skipped
part.
that one.
Okay, so the first battle they have, you guys are right, is over the ocean when Kong is kind of being dragged towards Antarctica, and Kong jumps on a submarine, and he Mike Tyson's Godzilla. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he like it's Godzilla was Jake Paul in July, and Kong was freaking Mike Tyson. Like, it was a good punch, but so Kong wins that fight, right? Like the first fight.
No,
Oh, that
No,
was
God,
Godzilla.
no, because
how do you
he
knock him
gets
out?
him on like he's like takes him under. He pulls him under the water, and he's still chained up and stuff,
Oh,
and
that's right.
he's still heavily sedated because
Yeah, he
they
almost drowns him.
yeah. But then he climbs up, and then I guess Godzilla like sees that he can't fight, and he's just like, all right, whatever, and
And
dips
that's when
out.
the ship's all turned off to show like they surrendered, like they're dead to show to Godzilla, and he goes off in the distance.
You're
Now
sorry.
that's where that whole scene though is where I was talking about earlier in the other episode that I feel like the scaling gets a little off because like there's no ships that could support them.
Thank
Like
you.
Yeah.
they're literally standing on this ship like fighting
Yeah.
both of them. Like I'm sorry, there's no ship big enough for that. But
They could not hold their weight. Nope. This is
yeah.
where they like Godzilla 2014 was a little bit more serious and try to be somewhat realistic
Mm-hmm.
to if this happened. King of the Monsters, well, if you felt King of the Monsters didn't throw it all out the window, like Godzilla vs Kong sure does. Like it throws it all out the window. Absolutely. Um
But the action. Oh.
the action. Yes. Yeah, you're talking about the action in King of Monsters, the action in this.
in this one.
And this one, this this second battle. This is good stuff. This is where it really gets good.
That's a high quality H2O.
High quality monster fight. This is a rumble in the jungle. The the Bing Bong in Hong Kong.
The
I-
Captain Insano.
Yeah, if Captain Insano was in this movie, then they wouldn't stand a chance because Captain Insano showed no mercy. Scabadoo! No. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So they fight. They fight. And the axe doesn't the axe get in the ground and no Kong whoops Godzilla's ass in this one, right? In the second fight, right?
Kong gets him. Yeah, because Alexander Skarsgård goes. Round 2 goes to Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. But yes, and then the axe is in the ground, and then Mass and Josh Burney are caught by security. They're taken to Walter, the head, and he orders Ren to activate Mechagodzilla. And then Ren dies because he's possessed by Ghidorah's consciousness. That Walter dude dies. Ren gets electrocuted, and Mechagodzilla overwhelms Godzilla. Mechagodzilla is like pulling out Dragon Zord, whips. He's pulling out everything. Somewhere Tommy is in the corner going. Yes, I remember the tune.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's up there. Right there. Yeah. And he's shooting rockets from his fingertips
Rockets
and
from his
stuff.
fingers. He's got the spike drill tail whipping around. Frickin' Dragon Zord. Fantastic. Fantastic. But there was no shade of green on it, so it was like a little bit of a, I guess the White Ranger, trying to get a hold of it or whatever. But yeah, but Godzilla is just getting his ass whooped. So Lind revives Kong by detonating a heave on his chest, which is a throwback to previous Kong movies where they say that Kong can channel electricity and it overpowers him. It super simians him, whatever. And they short circuit it onto Kong and activate him. And Gia convinces Kong to help Godzilla, says he is not the enemy. That's the enemy for Mechagodzilla. And Mechagodzilla overpowers both Titans, and Fire Fist momentarily short circuits Mechagodzilla controls with Bernie's liquor on a control panel. He just dumps it all over. Godzilla charges Kong's axe with his atomic breath, making it like Kratos in God of War 2018 overpowered, or the Stormbreaker. And then Kong is able to destroy Mechagodzilla by pretty much ripping out his mechanical spinal column and being so badass. And then Madison, Bernie, and Joss reunite with Madison's father, Mark, who didn't do anything in this movie, and Godzilla and Kong acknowledge each other and go their separate ways. So sometime later, Monarch establishes an observation post in the Hollow Earth, and we see the movie ends with Kong inside the Hollow Earth and Godzilla up top. So Godzilla, checking out Earth, protecting that, Kong protecting Hollow Earth. And that leads into the new movie. Boys, did you feel, I gotta ask, did you feel that Godzilla versus Kong, the first part, the one I just talked about, do you feel that like all that build up for years, for 6-7 years, do you feel it was worth it? Do you feel kind of like, do you feel that Godzilla versus Kong delivered in the way that it should have?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you feel that the story, Finch, do you feel like the story flowed right to lead to that story?
I mean, it's not a perfect story. There's definitely stuff like that whole, Kong going to get the axe, like some of that, and some of the other stuff, like, the human element. And I think that's where, Adam Wingard realized for the following movie, The New Empire, where he's like, we don't need the humans in this. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, let's just focus on the monster fights because that's what everybody wants. And that's what we got in um, Godzilla versus King Kong. And that's what everybody praised that movie for because those fight scenes were awesome. Like, the way Kong fights and the way Godzilla just like, we know Godzilla somehow just always wins like fights, but Kong like gets his ass handed to him a little bit, but he also does some ass kicking, and the way he fights and he just I just love it. So
Okay, Steve. Well, before we get to Steve, Finch, what did you like about that movie? What didn't you like? The Godzilla versus Kong. Like, do you think anything didn't work?
I mean, I think I kind of pointed it out was like the human element, and it's not, and even then, like the whole, like, I get where they were coming from, where they were trying to create a Mecha Godzilla, because I think the rich dude was like, "Oh, humanity needs a weapon to fight against titans like Godzilla and stuff." That's the whole reason they created Mecha Godzilla, right?
Yep.
Now, the them piloting a Mecha Godzilla like was a little weird, even though I'm currently actually watching the old one, Godzilla Fights Mecha Godzilla, and they've piloted anyway. So, um, but I don't know, just like the human element and the story kind of. But once Godzilla and King Kong were going at it, it worked, and obviously they needed a common enemy to fight. Batman versus Superman type of deal. You know what I mean? They got to come
I'm
together,
glad you mentioned that.
fight a bigger villain
Yep.
to work together.
Steve, what do you think? Do you feel that the Godzilla versus Kong was in the right direction for like kind of the more seriousness of the previous ones? Do you feel like the battle was worth it? Do you think that this was going in the wrong direction?
Nah, I agree. I think it's going in the right direction. That's just what people want. I think the human factor just doesn't need to really be in there. You know what I mean? I go there to see monsters fight, not people doing stuff. I want to see the fights.
Let them fight.
Mhm.
Yes, totally.
And I think this one kind of brings it with that like going back to that Pacific Rim thing, because that's how they connected with was through mind meld, kind of like what Ozawa's son did with Ghidorah's head to control Mechagodzilla.
Exactly. Exactly,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
boy.
It hit everything right. I think. I mean, there were some flaws here and there, but nothing. It was mainly humans.
But
So
even then, I mean, I guess in Godzilla versus Kong, the humans do help. Like, they do, they give him just that little bit of time when he short circuits it with the liquor or
coffee or
alcohol or
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and obviously like Brian Tyree Henry, or I don't know if that's his actual name, but the dude from Atlanta, what's his name? Bernie, right?
Yeah, Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah, Bernie. Like, he's a funny character, and he kind of, I like having him around. So, but everybody else could kind of, and I guess we need Rebecca Hall and Gia because their connection to Godzilla or King Kong, you know. But um, I think the humans, they do work, but as long as you minimize their time and give us
Yeah.
that Titans, that's what we want.
I couldn't agree more. um, so here it is, everybody. Godzilla X Kong. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers coming. Spoilers, spoilers,
Spoiler
spoilers.
alert.
Spoiler alert. So this is about 3 years after Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire, whatever. It's about 3 years later. Okay. So 3 years after defeating Mechagodzilla in the previous movies, this is in 2027, Kong establishes his territory in the recently discovered Hollow Earth. Kong is hunting other monsters. He's splitting them apart. Blood's going all over him. It's pretty funny. He scratches his butt in the morning, like when he goes. Um, he has his own territory, but he's still pretty dang lonely. Like it's more than obvious he's lonely. And while Kong is in the Hollow Earth, Godzilla is up top, maintaining order between humanity and the monsters known as Titans. So he's up there defeating the spider creature Scylla in Rome, and he decides to take a nap in the Colosseum. So Godzilla is basically taking sleep in the Roman Colosseum like a cat in a bed. Like it's pretty cute. That was actually created by Adam Wingard based on his cat sleeping in weird spots. So that's where that's from. So meanwhile, a monarch observation post that is inside the Hollow Earth picks up an unidentified signal. On the surface, that signal causes Gia, the last known survivor of the Iwi tribe from Skull Island, that Jeff kid, to experience hallucinations and flashbacks of this kind of other world, which causes her adopted mother, Dr. Eileen Andrews, to start to worry. So, also sensing the signal, Godzilla decides to leave Rome. By the way, guys, like in this movie, in other Godzilla's movies, they sure destroyed a lot of like historical places, but in this movie, they did not give an F. Like they did not care. The Colosseum gets ruined, the pyramids get ruined, like everything gets destroyed. Like they did not care. Oh, the statue of Jesus, the Redeemer in Brazil, like there was no chill. Like like they destroyed everything. Um so yeah. So Godzilla leaves Rome and he attacks a nuclear plant in France because he needs to absorb radiation. And then he travels to Antarctica. And Mark believes that Godzilla is basically trying to power himself up so that he can reach Super Saiyan Pink. And get ready for the oncoming threat.
Super Saiyan Rose, sir.
Rose. Wait, isn't that a type of wine?
Yeah, but that's what it's called. Super Saiyan Rose.
Rose?
Yep.
Where your hair turns pink?
Yep. Only one person has done it in Dragon Ball Super. So it's Goku.
Oh, of course it's Goku.
But it's not the regular Goku, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Super Saiyan rosy cheeks, whatever. So he goes to Antarctica to kind of strengthen himself. Then a sinkhole opens near Kong's home, and Kong discovers an uncharted region and a tribe of giant apes, including a juvenile Soko. I guess Soko is this orangutan, this orange, uh,
Diddy Kong.
little Jason Todd, if you will.
The one from all the trailers, yes.
The one from the trailer, green eyes, little Kong, and after a little confrontation at first, Kong forced Soko to lead him into the tribe's lair, and the two slowly bond on their journey as this kind of like father son type thing.
Somebody said Kratos from God of War.
It was
Like the
very
story.
much like Kratos.
Boy.
I kind of felt like is God of War because he's holding the axe, and we kind of like get that. But I kind of took it as it went on. I kind of took it more almost like a Batman and Robin, like, but not like a Dick Grayson Robin. I kind of took it more as a Jason Todd Robin, because the red hair or whatever. But I kind of took it as a Batman and Robin thing. Just me. But then they meet this leader in there, and what's tell me what this leader's like here, Finch. Tell me a little
Uh,
bit about this
he's
guy.
like a orangutan. His name is the Scar King. Bro has a big old scar paint looking thing on his face. He's big, long, huge, long arms. He's tall, skinny. He has like this like spine bone thing wrapped around him that looks like a like Rambo type of shit. But it also can be double as like a weapon, like a whip. Oh yeah, that's what like Catwoman sometimes wears like a whip around her, or Indiana Jones sometimes. Well, he carries it on his side, but yeah. So, dude, he's big, menacing. He's got these glowy eyes. Yeah, man.
It was I thought he looked pretty dope. Um, so battles Kong with the aid of an ancient ice-powered titan named Shimo. That kind of looks a bit like Godzilla, but kind of hunched over, more like a Triceratops kind of looking thing. Um, but for some reason, and if you guys were able to figure it out, like it controls with pain, like at the tip of the whip is this crystal, or is the crystal the handle? I don't know. There's like
It's
this,
the end.
Yeah, it's the end of it.
Yeah.
but I don't understand how that crystal was able to control Shimo, and I don't understand how it
See,
caused
I
it
thought
pain.
it was a part of him or her because you noticed like she had or he had like spikes. I thought maybe came from her, him, and that's how he's causing pain, like some sort of magic.
Shimo's a girl.
Okay, yeah, like some kind of magic thing.
I think somebody was saying that like it could be that it was like when Shimo, who has the ability to like freeze stuff, like the the ice turns into like these crystals, and maybe it's like somehow like
Yeah,
controlling.
Hmm.
I don't think they ever say what I'm saying.
They don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
ancient magic.
it's your magic, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Um, so Shimo attacks Kong and gives him severe frostbite in his right arm, which is his fighting arm.
Can we
And
say that Kong was winning that fight though?
Kong was whooping ass because Kong is Batman. Kong was whooping ass. Totally with yeah. Jump in at any time if you remember something. Um, Kong does manage to escape with Little Robin's help. Meanwhile, Andrews and Gia, alongside Titan veterinarian, we get this new character because Kong has a toothache, and to pull the tooth out, we meet this new character named Trapper that I feel should have been played by Owen Wilson. Like I was getting like major Owen Wilson vibes from this guy. I don't know why, but this dude likes 80s music, and he's no, he has an accent. You know,
He's played by Dan Stevens, another Marvel comparison because he played Legion. So sorry, I'm gonna point out
oh,
all the Marvel.
I knew that guy's face.
Yeah,
I knew I knew that. But I don't know. I liked the Trapper character. I thought he was pretty cool. I thought he was fine. He was okay addition. What do you guys think?
I definitely like the music he listened to.
yeah, the '80s vibes,
Hmm. Yeah, I liked them. I enjoyed it.
and you find out that he has a connection to Rebecca Hall's character from like college days, or
Yeah,
maybe
they
they used to
dated.
date.
Yeah.
So
They probably did. They probably did date. I'm going to say that they dated. But when I left the movie, I put on that song the day after day that I don't know. I don't remember how it goes. It was in my head. Oh no, I'm tired. But
but we get you when they replace Kong's tooth. That's something that Scar King points out to in the Hollow Earth subterranean area. Um, Basically, uh, he like looks at him and like laughs at him, and everybody starts laughing at him like at his tooth. Yeah, and that's one of the great things about this movie. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off a little bit, but that's one of the great things about this movie
I
is
want
like
you to.
they take away some of the human stuff that we've been getting and that people complain about, myself included, which the humans was fine in this one, but King Kong does such a good job emoting stuff and being without actually saying words. It's grunts and faces and body language and stuff. And it's like, and even the other apes, are primates and stuff are doing, there's no words, but it just works. It tells the story, and it's like, even though we don't understand what they're saying, we understand what they're saying from how it comes across the screen.
Yeah, it's like they took the human aspect and took it away, but gave the monsters more of like a humanity with like all the face. Even
Yes.
Godzilla
Yes.
has it. So I pointed that out too. I really like that about this one.
There is a little bit of a human story in here that's somewhat significant, but I'm with you guys on that. Yeah, okay. While observing Jaya, um oh, I'm so sorry. I missed something. Yeah, okay. So we have the veterinarian trapper and conspiracy podcaster Bernie. They decide to travel to They travel with Hollow Earth with Andrews because Andrew goes to Bernie and says, "I think that you can understand because you're a conspiracy theorist. Can understand these images that Gia is seeing." So that's why she recruits him. And he's basically like, "Well, I'm going to document all I can for my podcast because that's what Bryan would do, to help the podcast." Um, but and she says, "I'll get you whatever you want. Just try to help my daughter." And as the group ventures forward, they discover a temple in the Hollow Earth, which leads them to an uncharted subterranean section that is like covered. It's covered by like almost this bubble, like almost a cocoon. And as soon as I like saw that, I was like, I know where we're leading. Like I know exactly where this is going because it was covered by a cocoon, just like we saw in King of the Monsters in a certain scene when we saw a certain monster. So, yeah, so they go into this section, and it's not where the apes are. It's actually houses the remaining members of the Iwi tribe that were up on Skull Island, and they communicate telepathically among each other from whom Gia has descended. So they all have telepathic abilities, which was kind of explained in Kong Skull Island that they didn't need to communicate. Like they all knew what people were saying, but wasn't revealed that they had telepathic abilities. But as they inspect some ruins, they find out that the signal was a telepathic distress call sent by the Iwi to come to the Hollow Earth. And while observing Jaya socializing with the Iwi, Dr. Andrews basically fears that she's just going to want to stay with those people because they're her people. And she just has to accept it. Inside the temple, Andrew uncovers hieroglyphics displaying the past and the future. And I definitely want to talk about this, guys, to make sure I don't miss anything. So it seems in these hieroglyphics that the Scar King, he's, one of the Kong people, he attempted to conquer the surface and wanted to wage war against Godzilla. But Godzilla trapped him and the tribe in the Hollow Earth. Am I right? Yes, I think so. But in those pictures, I only remember seeing one lizard that looked like Godzilla. I don't remember seeing multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see multiple. I think I just seen the one.
So this is revealing that there's only one Godzilla. Like we're still not getting Godzilla's like origins per se. But this is definitely more into like the Kong kind of like origins or whatever, right? Um, but we find out that Godzilla trapped these apes down there. So maybe Godzilla trapped Kong's family there too. Like, and the Scar King was part of that. Like, what do you think? Do you think that like that's part of the story there?
I think that they iterated that the Scar King was the one. So I'm guessing Godzilla fought Scar King a while back, and although it's like I wish they would have maybe uh kind of hinted at that, like when Godzilla finally saw him again, or you know, would have been like I remember you, or maybe the Scar King would have like said something to like hinted at Godzilla like you again, like I don't know. So I don't know.
Nah, I'm with you. Like, I feel like this part with the hieroglyphics, this part they should have took more time on, and they rushed it as they were trying to like fill these gaps of stuff you didn't know. Um, because in this movie they answered a lot of questions that you kind of had. Because going to Godzilla versus Kong, you're like, okay, so what really happened to Skull Island? Like, we know it was storm stuff, but we didn't like really see what happened and why this deaf chick, deaf little girl is important and why she's significant. And like, now they tie it in and why Kong would want to go to the Hollow Earth. Like, they explain it better here. And it's just weird. So, it also in these hieroglyphics, it shows that there is a member of the tribe that, well, basically it also shows that Mothra is like the savior or like the main beast of this tribe. Is that right?
Yeah.
But like, that's another thing that I was so confused about, because if Kong is like the god on the island, then why do they need Mothra? Like, why is Mothra in play here? I thought Kong was their dude, you know?
Yeah, but they're sub. They're like in the Hollow Earth, which is not Skull Island, and then they're even lower than that right now. So this is this ancient tribe. They're the ones who they had a connection with Kong, but they also have a connection with Mothra, who is a peacekeeper. So
Okay. Okay, I'll take it. And I also like, and it also it illustrates that there's there's a member of the tribe that's destined to be like the main leader, the head of the tribe or whatever, and that Gaia is the key to reawakening Mothra. And Kong, sensing Gaia, locates the temple and is fitted by Trapper with this prototype like Jax. They basically make Kong. Kong is like Batman, Kratos, and then he becomes Jax from Mortal Kombat. And it gets like the robotic gauntlet, and like, I don't know, it should have been made his arm freaking metal or whatever. But
well,
it
they
was
said they showed the picture, and it was like they were designing like a whole arm, and they were saying that it was to make one of the strongest Titans even stronger. But it was the operation was like ceased or something, but they were able to smuggle part of it down there or get half of it down there, and that's why it was only the hand or the arm. Like it would have been. The idea was to give him the whole arm.
well, I'm very curious of what we're going to see in the future, because
Pacific Rim mechs.
I really
They
think
could
so.
build a arm thing for Kong. Why can't they build
An entire mech.
It's all.
uh-huh.
Could you imagine?
I did just remember something though. Okay, so the whole thing with Mothra, in King of the Monsters, it starts off they're at an outpost. I think it's like outpost 51 or 61. And you see like an Aztecian temple, and that's where they go for Mothra. And this tribe of Iwi down there looks like more of like Aztecian. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So maybe
Well,
that's
Well,
the
what's
connection.
like, and I still don't understand yet what this tie is with Mothra and Godzilla. Like, why Mothra can kind of like direct and be the queen of monsters and like direct Godzilla. I didn't really.
Cause she's like she lays down the law and tells Godzilla to
Cool
get
it.
off get off his butt and go do something. Or
Go
She
take out
don't
the
bow.
trash, damn it.
She don't bow to Godzilla.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
She's
guess
so
that's all we
and
need. That's all.
she's so majestic and beautiful. Even Godzilla's like amazed by her beauty, probably,
Mhm.
Like, oh.
If they want to have a lizard bang a moth, whatever, stranger things happen. You know, yeah, bring back that Madsen character. Stranger Things. Um,
Yeah.
so Godzilla is up on the world, and he goes after a Titan named Tiamat. Now, I haven't seen every Godzilla movie, but Tiamat from another one, and Tiamat lives in Antarctica, and is kind of a like is has like dorsal spines that are magenta and has extreme power or whatever, and has a lot of radiation too. So Godzilla goes in this lair, beats Tiamat's ass, and takes Tiamat's power and like fuses with him like Piccolo and Nail, and and takes that power to become Super Saiyan Magenta or Rose.
Rose. There you
The
go.
To become T-Mobile Godzilla. So becomes T-Mobile Godzilla, and and uh and he goes in and yeah, hoping to lure Godzilla into the Hollow Earth system. Kong confronts him in Cairo, Egypt, and they battle. Like this fight with the pyramids is pretty freaking dope. And I thought they were done fighting.
It ended too quickly, though, man. I mean, I'm glad it ended so we can get what comes next, but it ended too quickly. Like, I wish they would have battled a little bit more.
But that fight was badass. Steve,
That
did
was
you like that
the
fight, sir?
wrestling match I was talking about. Freaking suplexing them and spearing them, and I was like, "Dang, is this a WWE movie or something?"
This was like everything. Like this movie had some God of War vibes. It had some Justice League vibes, like big giant like Godzilla Superman or
Mm,
Goku, like the Dragon Ball Z vibes. You have Godzilla as Superman or Goku, whatever. You have King Kong as like Batman type Kratos. You had Planet of the Apes vibes a little bit. Mothra is Wonder Woman. We're making a Justice League of monsters.
mhm.
Like that's how I was feeling from this movie, man. That's the vibes I got. Um,
And even during that fight, you get that like Kong's like, "Hey, look, look, no, no, no," and then gets smeared.
and then Godzilla's like, "Acknowledge me."
Mhm.
Bro,
I'm the
the fact that like when King Kong comes out of the portal and then he just rah and then Godzilla like is over in like
Mm.
another country and he hears him and he's like and then he just jumps in the water.
Yep.
Dude. Like
freaking awesome. He's like, "Ah!" and then Kong sees Godzilla, and he's like, "It's over 9,000!" Like yeah, it was freaking dope. So to finish this up, um, where the hell was I? Yeah, okay. Despite Kong signaling for help, Godzilla whoops his ass in Egypt, and the pyramids are destroyed. And before Godzilla can finish Kong, Mothra arrives and convinces Godzilla to aid Kong because Mothra's just like, boys, boys, stop it. And then Godzilla, Kong, and Mothra, and the whole Monster Justice League battle the Scar King, his tribe, and Shimo all on the Hollow Earth. Scar King is riding Shimo, like whipping back and forth and stuff. And yeah, and these pyramids under Earth collide and create this anti-gravity effect. And their fight drags them onto the surface into Rio de Janeiro, where they on Easter weekend destroy a statue of Christ because that's what you want to do on Easter weekend. And and
They never destroyed the statue. The statue is all the way up there.
Oh, I thought they destroyed the statue.
No,
Yeah, that would be
it's
a bad
Rio.
call.
So
That would be bad.
they showed the statue, but
Yeah, they would.
they were nowhere near it.
It's probably destroyed, and and Shimo begins to induce another ice age at Scar King's command. Shimo actually was the reason that the first ice age happened, and the factions are evenly matched. The bloodline, versus King Kong, Cody Rhodes' team, whatever, and they're evenly matched until Soko destroys the crystal used to control Shimu. Little Robin destroys the crystal, and then Godzilla, Kong, and a liberated Shimu combine their efforts and destroy the Scar King. And after undoing Shu's ice age with his atomic breath, Goku returns to rest in the Colosseum. Mothra restores the protected bearer of the Iwi's home. Kong, together with Shimu and Sukul, Kong is now riding Shimu, just like Scar King did, and they return to the Hollow Earth, where he becomes the tribe's new leader. And Gia elevates Andrew's fears by choosing to stay with her, or alleviates the fears by choosing to stay with her mom, because where you go, I go. There's a whole thing there. And that is Godzilla X Kong. Boys. Um, this movie, me personally, I haven't had so much fun at the movies, maybe since Endgame.
Wow.
Maybe. Like that much fun. Like just fun, pure fun watching a movie. I mean, I loved Godzilla -1, but like that just dropped me into a different level. Like this, I can't think of another movie that had so much just fun. And yeah. So Steve, like, what are your thoughts on this movie, man? Is there anything what did you love? What did you hate?
I mean, there's nothing to really hate about this movie, other than maybe some of the fight scenes being a little bit longer. I feel they defeated Scar King way too fast for how much hype they had on him being strong. Basically, once he lost the crystal, he was nothing. So I think, I mean, that could have been a little bit longer. But other than that, I love the how Kong and Godzilla and Star King could all like show their emotions, and you kind of seen the human element with them. And to note, the little Robin, or I like to call him Diddy Kong, um, he only turned because Scar King killed his father or friend or something. Remember, he back kicked him into the lava. So
Yeah.
Oh, that was his. Oh,
it was something special to him. I don't think it was his dad or anything, but it was something special to him. And that's what ended up flipping. But no, yeah, I love this whole movie. I got excited at Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife. That one got me excited.
okay. That's the last
Uh,
time. That's the last time.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's the
yeah,
last time.
but yeah, this movie, I had a smile on my face the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. Finch.
Uh, I love this movie, man. Like it's the action, dude. Like just his. We just want to see giant monsters fight, and we love Godzilla. We love Kong. My wife, when the movie ended, she goes, "Why does Kong have to be so savage? Like just the way he kills, like that, like that one." Okay, one of my favorite parts of the movie is when he's fighting the three apes or the primates when he first gets to Hollow Earth, and he's fighting them, and then like the one he picks up the kid monkey and uses him to beat up the other monkeys. Like and then like he saves the other one that he knocks off like the cliff. He saves him. The other one picks up like a knife and tries to get him, and he just pushes him back off the cliff. Like Kong is just, and he, and the one thing I don't know if you didn't reiterate it, Brian, like you always do, but in this movie, Kong fighted a sea monster again,
He sure did.
a kraken, and ripped him in half, and
That's why I
that's how
appreciate
him
you, because I missed some things.
and he he bonded with the Shimu, not Shimu, that's the ice one. What's the little monkey's name? Zazu, the
Sumu, Zazu.
Abu,
Soku or Suku or something.
Suka, yeah. Well, like that's where they bonded and stuff. Um, nah, man, and even like I will say, my one complaint about this is it felt more of like a King Kong movie, even though he has second billing. You know what I mean? It's Godzilla X Kong. It felt like it should have been like King Kong featuring Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he was definitely the star. Absolutely. This
but
was a King Kong movie.
but he just, like I said, he just emoted so much that
Mm.
we didn't need the humans like we did, like we got them, and that's another thing. Like the humans in this didn't suck. Like the story with them and stuff. Like you said, there's a part where they kind of rush through the explanation and stuff, and it feels like they did that so they can get to the fight scenes, which were great. Um, yeah, man, this movie's great, dude. Like, critics suck, dude. Like, why are they giving this such a bad score?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes is a freaking joke. I don't understand why it's like the bona fide, like, this is where movies go to die or live or die. I don't get it. Like, why Rotten Tomatoes is it. Like, because I's score is in the 90s, and then ratings from movie critics that don't know anything about, like, don't get the franchises. Like, they just go in there like, was this movie like Citizen Kane? No. I
Yeah.
I think I will pass. You know?
Yeah, we don't need an Oscar worthy performances from CGI creatures. You know what I mean? Like, just give us what we came for. Giant monsters fighting, giant monsters riding other giant monsters, and fighting in midair. Like, come on, you know?
I so my thoughts on this movie, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think that this movie cements that they know how to do it now, because Godzilla 2014 was very serious and barely any monster fight. You know, Kong Skull Island was like a pretty deep depth story. Like, it had a great human story, but it had depth in it, and it had like weight to it. You know, it was, yeah. And then we get King of Monsters, and then we're up in the ante with fights, and for some reason that wasn't taken so good. I don't understand. Whatever, um, but mm, I have a TV with like this LED light that my wife got me. So when colors are on the screen, like this LED in the back flashes all these lights. So Star Wars, red lightsaber on the right side of the screen, blue lightsaber on the left, and then purple's going in the middle. It's freaking awesome. Watching King of Monsters with that TV, like, it was mostly blue the whole time behind it. Like, the movie's very blue, but when Ghidorah would show up, this yellow would through the blue, freaking awesome. And like, I don't know, I loved it. Um, like, this movie showed that we don't really need the human story, like you guys said. I'm with you guys on this. That the story can be told through the creatures. And as I'm watching, I'm also thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, Warner Brothers, if you would have took just maybe one monster away and the money you spent on that budget for that CGI there and put in the Flash, maybe the Flash would have been good. Because this movie was like all CGI, and it was great looking CGI, and that shows me that Warner Brothers can do great looking CGI. But where the hell were you on the Flash movie? so So, I felt like they were building a Justice League of monsters. Um, I I'm okay with kind of how the story was going with the humans. Like it was just enough to be okay. Like with the Iwi tribe, I feel like the next movie, I feel like the next step that they needs to be more Godzilla focused because maybe because we got a lot of Godzilla with King of Monsters and like established, but my only complaint of this movie is I didn't get a clear answer of where the Titans come from and like is Godzilla the only one? Is there only that one Godzilla? Like okay, so like we know that the Kongs come from Middle Earth and and we know that they were killed by the skinwalkers and stuff and a little bit of skarking, but we're not getting an answer yet of what's happening with Godzilla. Like what's the story there?
Like a prequel, just showing where he came from,
Yeah.
if he has other people, like yeah,
We
that's what
need
I think.
something because like we're still world building to what we want here, but this movie like they understand what we want. We want the monsters fighting. You can tell the human story through Kong. Like that's what you need to do. So if you give me like a whole movie with freaking cavemen, I don't give a crap, you know. And we're getting that story of like how like the first fight happened. I'm cool with that. Give me like a Planet of the Apes type thing. You almost gave me it of like of the Kongs and the war with the Godzillas. Give me something.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I think they understood the assignment this time. Like, yeah, I'm with you guys. I thought this was bomb diggity shiggity. Like, I say, give me a little bit of the backstory in the next movie, and then the next step is Pacific Rim, like going the Pacific Rim way with all the monsters. Um, I think that
Let's start that petition, man. We got to start that petition.
it needs to happen.
Pacific, we want
Yeah.
them.
Like, it's no
Mhm.
question. And and I haven't seen all the Godzilla movies, but what I do know is that a frequent villain of Godzilla is this alien like race that they come down to Earth and they revive Mecha Godzilla. I think they even bring King Ghidorah. Like they bring these alien monsters to like kind of destroy Godzilla. Um, I haven't got to that part of all those Godzilla movies because you know they as a kid they weren't really easy to find, but now I can kind of get a hold of them. So and I
Yeah,
hope
Max has a bunch of them right now.
a bunch of
You
them.
just watch them. Yeah.
And then I got that the Showa era booklet of the first 15 Godzilla movies. And then I got a guy that lives in Poland that'll ship me things internationally. So that's how I got a Godzilla 1985 movie. And then there's this little chunk of Godzilla movies in like the 80s and 90s and stuff that they're very hard to find. But my Poland guy, he'll take care of me. So guys, what if you can just give me your rankings? I'll start with you, Finch. So first ranking I want you to give me is give me the villains. Who do you think is so far is the top? Who do you think's the best villain that we've got so far, and who do you think's the worst?
Uh, I guess the best villain would be the human. No, I'm just kidding. Well, they are, but yeah, I mean, because they created Mecha Godzilla and stuff. Probably Ghidorah. Ghidorah was pretty badass, even though I don't love that movie as much as the other ones on my list. Um, Ghidorah just looks menacing, messes up Godzilla, and pretty badass. Wait, was I supposed to say best villain?
That's yeah. That was your best. That's your
Okay,
best.
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
And who
that's
you
the
think?
best villain.
Who?
The worst villain from the entire timeline or from this movie?
Yeah, this includes
Sorry.
humans and monsters. That's why.
Uh, Worst villain, huh? Uh, Probably. I didn't like Samuel Jackson as a villain to Kong because Kong wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean, he was a good villain, like he's a good, and like he messed up, but that's also what made me not like him as much is because, um, God's King Kong is on the ground, all burnt up, and it's like he's just like, Kong was just protecting his territory, and he just, I mean, I guess you could say that was makes him a great villain, but I don't like him for a villain like that,
Because he's Nick Fury.
Yeah. And he didn't say, "I'm tired of these motherfucking these motherfucking monsters on this motherfucking island."
Bitch. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Or he didn't come back at the end and go to Kong and like I'm putting the team together.
Right?
That's funny. All right, and to the best of your ability, starting with your least favorite, give me the ranking of the whole MonsterVerse, including shows.
Okay, so least favorite is gonna be the one I haven't watched, which is the Netflix animated Kong Island or whatever.
That's fair.
Because like I said, I haven't watched it, can't rate it. Um, Next up, it's probably gonna be the 2014 Godzilla, just because half of the movie we didn't see Godzilla. And as much as I don't love King of the Monsters as much, we got some great fights. So it's gonna go animated Kong thing, Godzilla, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Monarch, uh, Skull Island, Godzilla versus Kong, and New Empire. Maybe because New Empire is just so fresh in my mind right now, but I could maybe tie it with Godzilla versus Kong, but they could interchange. But as of right now, New Empire is sitting on the top right now.
New Empires at the top. Okay. All right, Steve. Who? Oh, I'm so sorry. And Finch. Finally, what what is your ranking of the good monsters? So so your good monsters would be your Mothra, King Kong, Godzilla,
Uh, um, I guess Shimu now, if you want to call her at the
she
end,
yeah,
and the little son of Kong guy,
yeah.
right? Good ones. So worst to best, um, and take this with a grain of salt, as I am a Godzilla man. I've been a Godzilla fan longer, than I like Godzilla more than Kong. I will say that, right? But in this ranking, Kong's at the top right now because these movies they've done some good stuff with Kong. I like that. So it's Kong, Godzilla, Mothra, Shimu, Son of Kong right now. Best to worst. Sorry.
So Kong is now your new number one.
For these films, yes. Godzilla's awesome. And Godzilla's not a good guy per se. He's more of like that anti-hero guy kind of
Mhm.
thing, if you want to
Yeah.
go that way. Um, I will say one other thing I loved about New Empire, and maybe this is just me, but at the end when they won and Kong went like, yeah, I feel like Godzilla gave like a smirk, bro. Like he was like I don't know if anybody else saw it, but he was like,
He was
and I was
proud.
like, yeah,
He was
like
proud. He was.
I don't know, it just warmed my heart. So that's me.
All right. Steve, who do you Who's your favorite villain? Who's your worst villain? Who's your favorite hero? Who's your worst hero? And then rank the movies.
I have a feeling all of ours are going to be roughly the same.
They probably will. We're very like mine.
But best villain, I would have to say, like he said, King Ghidorah. The worst villain, I would have to say, is the Mudos. I didn't. Yeah, I
Nice.
just. Yeah. And then, what was the other one? The here
So yeah, so okay, so you said the who did you say your best
Ghidorah and Mudos.
Ghidorah?
Ghidora's the best. Mudos are the worst.
Okay. What's your uh what's your yeah, okay. Yeah. And what's your favorite what's your top or what's your worst hero? What's your top hero?
Worst heroes, the little Diddy Kong thing, and the best have to be Kong, but Godzilla's up there, and then Shimu's in the middle.
Shimu.
But
Okay.
I can't remember her name.
Shimu. All right.
Shamu.
Yeah, yeah, Shamu. Um okay, so for me, I think the worst villain.
Well, Steve didn't get his rankings
Oh,
of the
I'm so
films.
sorry. Oh my gosh,
Sorry.
Steve, rank the
Be
monster.
honest, it's probably exactly like his. Godzilla's last, and then I would say I'd probably have to put Monarch after that. And then Godzilla King of Monsters, then Kong, and then Godzilla vs. Kong, and the new one being the best. Just the confusion with all the timelines. That's why I dropped Monarch lower.
I think we have a similar mindset.
Yeah.
Did I miss any questions? No. Okay. All right. So my uh my least favorite villain probably. Hmm. My least favorite villain. Yeah, well, my least favorite villain. I think I'm probably gonna have to go with with probably Rodan because and the only reason I say that is because even though he had cool fire powers and stuff like that, like I don't feel like he was needed. I feel like he and like Mothra like whooped his ass. Um, and stung him pretty good. No, I take that back because Rodan's kind of cool because he has fire powers. The answer is the Mutos. That's yeah. I think I'm with you. Because were they giant cockroaches? Were they praying mantises? Like what the hell were they? They didn't even get a real. They didn't like they were so low on the tone pool. They didn't even get a proper name. You know, they were just got a classification, and yeah, it was just yeah. Um, they weren't very exciting. Rodan at least like flew out of a volcano, so I'll give him that. My favorite villain is Ghidorah. I just Ghidorah is so iconic, and like you felt when watching King of the Monsters this time, like Ghidorah was like a serious threat, and that scene where he's going after Millie Bobby Brown while she's at like Fenway and stuff, like the tension was very high. Like you felt like this guy's a serious threat because no other monsters bowed to any other monster. They bowed to Ghidorah though. Like they were scared of Ghidorah, and I'm very interested to see like if we get some type of alien thing in the future going with Ghidorah. In terms of heroes, I yeah, I guess the ShamWow monkey, the Shimu or Shamu monkey. but he was just introduced. The ice or no, the Shimu is the ice thing. That's who that's yeah, ShamWow. Um like it didn't really do anything other than like, shoot some ice and stuff. But now it's a hero. It was a villain. The little monkey kind of sucks. But I think after this movie, my tippy top is King Kong now. Uh, I mean, it was Godzilla like forever, like, and you couldn't persuade me. But watching these movies over again, like Kong Skull Island, and just seeing Kong's arc, like Kong is more of a badass. Like Godzilla, he gets his ass whooped, and like he needs to take a nap for a little bit. Like King Kong gets his ass whooped, and like I can get back in the fight pretty quick. Like he and recently in the storyline, Kong, Justice League, they made Kong a Green Lantern, and I can't wait to read that. And my seat cushions going all over the place. And how I rank the movies to wrap this up is the bottom. I put that Skull Island Netflix cartoon because it was okay, but it added absolutely nothing to the story overall, and I hate that. Don't don't add something to the story, but like it doesn't give me anything. It doesn't add anything. It's just for money. Stupid. Then I put Godzilla 2014 because even though it introduced Godzilla again and it did it kind of good and Godzilla looks good, the movie most of the fight scenes are very dark. You can't see crap. The human element I didn't care about. If they would have kept Bryan Cranston, then maybe I would have cared and we would have had this father son story of like, I'm seeing you be a dad and you want to get back to your family. And I should have done that instead of being obsessed with this thing. Like it would have been a better story. Monarch is so convoluted and like all over the place that they really should have just told us this 50s story. That's all they should have done. And like the thing with the kids and the different dads, it like had no impact on the overall story. Like it really didn't matter. Like like and the whole hacker working for Apex didn't add anything. Like we haven't brought her back. Like she's not added to the story since. Like it doesn't matter. And the kids are working for Apex, but we don't get anything up in this movie. Like it didn't add anything except the original story. And then I have Godzilla versus Kong. Um, next because I kind of felt like a good bit of stuff were rushed in some things, and I it was okay, but I don't know. I kind of liked King of the Monsters a little bit better. I felt it had better like fights and stuff. And then I put Kong Skull Island. That was my tippy top. I really liked that one. I thought the story was really good, and I liked Samuel L. Jackson wanting to destroy Kong and never wanting the battle to end. And I liked it. I thought he was a good villain because he was kind of an a hole. Um, and then the new Empire is now my tippy top because I think they understood the assignment. So that's where I'm at. So that is the whole story so far of Kong and Godzilla and the bromance. And thank you so much, Finch, for joining me. Steve, thank you.
Yep.
Um,
Anytime.
Problem.
I think that this franchise is definitely on the right track. Um,
Yes.
I think it's doing awesome.
But it'll do better once they add Pacific Rim.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. Like that is the next step. That is where we need
Yeah.
to go. Like there's no question about it. That's where it needs to go. So that is gravely amusing. Part one of season two so far. We're gonna take just a few months off as we kind of get closer to Halloween and stuff. We'll pick it up and we'll delve into these movies of the 50s and jump right in there and make sure you tune in to during this break of Gravely Amusing. Make sure you tune in to Bry and the guys, or pretty much is going to be, BP and the Finch like it was in the beginning, because
Oh,
BP and the Finch, we going to be talking about X-Men, heavy X.
da-na-na-na-na-na.
Dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And I think we're going to talk about all the movies. We're going to break them down, what makes sense. We're going to try to make sense of the X-Men timeline as best we can, and try to put some things in chronological order. And then I know Steve's going to join us. I know Tyler's going to join us because Tyler thinks he cracked the code on the timeline. So I'm interested to see what he came up with. We're going to rank our favorite X-Men. We're gonna have an episode where we basically are gonna pitch you what we think should be the X-Men team as it enters the MCU. We're talking Deadpool, Wolverine. So much to talk about.
We're eating good as X-Men fans.
We're good. Like I am a X-Men is my tippy top team, and then right below that, Fantastic Four. In terms of Marvel teams. So excited. So anyway, we're taking a break, guys, but thank you very much for joining Gravely Musing on this journey. And if you want more info on Gravely Musing, or you want to check out other episodes, you can find us online, of course, at Gravely Musing. And you can check us out on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can check out Bryan the Guys and all their episodes coming up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me personally as Manchild of Steel on all those platforms. And thank you so much, Steve, for joining me. I really
Anytime.
appreciate you've been a great co-host for these past couple episodes. And Finch back to being basically my co-host on Bryan the Guys, BP and the Finch. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be nice.
The
But
final boss has arrived.
final boss, yes, that's my man. But we'll be taking the whole month of April off because it's just crazy month. But I thank you so much, listeners, and I hope this podcast thrilled you. I hope it shocked you, and if nothing else, I hope it left you gravely amused.